Physics fundamentals. So today we are going to discuss math rules and different kinds of math. So we talk about the kinds of math and the different kinds of math that you can work with as a professional. People that work in retail or clerks are going to add and subtract for a great part of their career, and they're going to have to be able to do it quickly and correctly. You have people that work in accounts payable and accounts receivable, and these people will need to know how to multiply and divide to keep these accounts accurately balanced weekly, monthly, and annually. Then you have people that work in construction or are builders and architects, and these people, they actually need to know how to convert and do mechanical math quickly and efficiently in order to get their project completed correctly. So we want to understand that there are all kinds of styles of math, and depending on your profession, you will use at least one style of math. Realtors and brokers will often use compounded interest math, prorated math. These are typically practiced in purchase and sales of real property, where the date has to be precise. Therefore, any monies involved will have to be prorated to the precise date. So different maths are used for different projects and in different professions. Physics is a style of math that is often used by scientists. And physics is really simply prorating proportions and offsetting those proportions on each side of the equation. So we will learn about physics and how that looks. We will learn about formulas and get comfortable with the style of physics. The style of physics includes various sub-universities or branches that you can practice physics and operate under various branches, one or more branches of physics. And we will discuss these branches or universes farther, and this information will be on our final examination. So just a math refresher, we want to be comfortable with adding and subtracting. We want to be comfortable with multiplying and dividing whole numbers. We want to be comfortable with finding our lowest common denominator. So these are things that we should already be comfortable with. So when we move on to prorations and portions, we can get a grasp on how to complete physics. Now remember, physics, we are operating under the whole. And you say, what does that mean? So when I say whole, I am talking about W-H-O-L-E. Whole. When we are referring to a mathematical expression and you hear the word whole, it is going to determine that it is 100. That's right. So 100 is always whole. So if there was a pie and there was a whole pie, that would be 100% of the pie. If I cut the pie in half and gave you half, then that would be 50% of the pie. And I cut it in half down the middle and then cut it in half down to the other side. And we have 4 sides of the pie. And I gave you a piece of that, then that would be 25% of the pie, a quarter. So when we work in portions and ratios, we want to understand that it is a piece of the pie. It will never be the whole pie. This is where we get portions and ratios. And so we are going to get very comfortable with looking at things from a perspective of portions. So that means that the number will always be smaller than the whole. So it would never be 100%. So we think in terms of decimals, in pieces, in slices, and never a whole pie to ourselves. So get comfortable with those things, and then we are going to do a few of the recaps on math rules. So we want to understand when we need to borrow. When we are subtracting, we want to understand how to carry our numbers when we are adding. We want to understand how to identify a fraction. So the numerator would be at the top of the fraction. The denominator would be at the bottom of the fraction. We want to understand how to take mixed numbers and turn them into whole numbers. And we want to understand how to multiply fractions and how to divide fractions by cross cancellations and flipping the back side of the fraction. So when we know these things and we're comfortable with these things, we want to continue to move straight on to, again, practicing physics. And so these things will help us practice physics. And so we will have a few lessons there on math rules. And so we're going to maybe give you about 2 questions in each category of math, and then we will work our way back up to our ratios and have about 5 ratios, and we'll work with those 5. So this is again a recap and a refresher on math rules. Some people say when you don't use math, you lose math, but it's always good to do a refresher and a recap. So we are going to work with multiplying and dividing. We are going to work with fractions and multiplying fractions. We are going to be able to identify the denominator from the numerator, and we will also know how to change mixed numbers into whole numbers. So from that point on, we will proceed with our ratios and continuing to practice physics.